I'm Lee Morris.
And I'm Patrick Hall.
Together we created fstoppers.com, and we have teamed up with Elia Liccardi to create the most in-depth tutorial on all things landscape and cityscape photography.
Join us as we take you behind the scenes and around the world to over 7 unique countries in our quest to find the perfect landscape photographs.
In this week's episode, we regret not upgrading our rental to 4-wheel drive. We put our camera's weatherproofing to the test, and we spend our last night in Iceland relaxing in the natural hot springs. So it's a final day in Iceland. We are packing up cars. Oh, we may have had our first serious casualty in gear. It's the dumbest mistake ever. We were filming last night by the side of the road. We were using both tripods, and we get up this morning and we are afraid that we've left our tripod by the side of the road. I'm hoping that we're going to unpack this and it's going to be back behind and it's
I don't think so. I think you guys left it on the side of the road in the dark.
Shit happens.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it's gonna snow like crazy.
It's gonna snow heavily here in the south for the next hours on the way we're going.
Alright, so I've given it some thought, and I think I figured out who is responsible for losing the tripod. First of all, Siggy is our guide. So he's really responsible for everything overall, okay? So really, we could just summarize this entire issue and put it all on Siggy's shoulders. But I choose to only give him 25% of the blame, okay? Now, Naomi, she should have been outside with us while we were filming, but she was too lazy warming herself in the car, right? She didn't even want to have anything to do with it. So I give her 25% of the blame as well. Now, I don't think I could have ever made a mistake like this. So obviously the other person using the tripod, they are to blame, and that's Patrick here. Patrick deserves 25% of the blame, for sure. And then Elia was...
I'm guessing based on the math the question is left.
I mean, hold on, don't get ahead of yourself. So Elia was arguing with us constantly about filming because it was night and it didn't look the same as the other night.
Because it was snowing.
Yeah, and it took my mind away from the tripod. And so it's at least 25% Elia's fault. Now, I would of course give myself some blame, but there's no percentage left to give.
I believe you hated the tripod that we still have so much that you gave that one to me. So my tripod and my camera are still in the car right now. Regardless of who is at fault for losing the tripod, we were about to face something much more serious.
Let's see, is he concerned? We might have time to go back for the tripod.
Oh, look at what you've done, Siggy. Look at what you have done. Siggy, I thought you were a professional. What are you doing?
I just got stuck, so stop filming.
It was hailing on us.
Oh, here it comes.
We just found out we lost a tripod by the side of the road. It's out here hailing on us, and our driver just got us stuck. So this is like the epic storm. I gotta go help.
Come on, Patrick, stop taking selfies all the time.
I have my whole 110 pounds into this. You can do it. Put your ass into it.
That was actually really fun. Well, this has been a very strange day so far.
Yeah.
That was
kind of scared to move on.
I know. What else? I'm not gonna say anything. Let's not say anything else about it.
Despite Siggy's attempts to sabotage our trip, we were back on the road again.
What is the point of
So we are at the next waterfall here. This place is crazy.
I'm just getting B-roll footage of Elia working out here, and right now there's no people in the scene, so I'm able to get a shot that makes it look like we're out here by ourselves.
It's a good thing Patrick has those boots, because this snow has to be at least a ½ inch thick. And the winner of the absolute worst piece of gear on this entire trip is this freaking tripod. Don't lengthen those legs, lengthen the little ones.
You can't, because I think this is the second time now we've lost
Look at this.
the rubber feet. They just fall out.
But it goes flush, so you can't grab it.
Yeah, there's no way to get these out, so I have to extend this. And I remember we lost these in Charleston at the beach, and now we're in Iceland. We had them replaced.
What tripod is this?
This is the Manfrotto 190, and it is a piece of crap.
Under no circumstances should you buy this tripod.
Yeah.
This is, besides like the Walmart ones that are $40 and made of aluminum foil and plastic, this is the worst tripod I've ever used.
Yeah.
You got a little water there.
A little water? You think it'll show up?
I think it might show up on your pictures. We're down to one video tripod now, and it's the worst tripod I've ever used in my life. Patrick had a really good idea though. We've got our crappy tripod with a magic arm. We've got a super clamp here connected to a magic arm with the second camera, so we're still able to get super stable A and B roll shots here.
Trying to make do with what we have. I'm glad I brought this little thing. This waterfall is throwing mist everywhere, so I'm just putting my hand over the lens, hoping to minimize the water on it. I'm sure it's probably already covered.
So this is a very iconic waterfall. It's also a very tall waterfall. So what I did is we parked pretty far back from where we're standing now, and I sort of worked my way up in phases. So I tried to stand a little bit further away, zoomed in, and eventually worked myself up to this position. The reason I started from the back and moved forward is that way I didn't leave any footsteps. If I would have walked all the way up to the waterfall and started walking back, turning my camera around, I may have left footsteps in the snow. Since we were some of the first people to get here, we really had a minimal amount of imprints in the snow already, so we had this nice clean palette to work with. I didn't want to ruin that.
So we're at our final waterfall. I don't know the name of it. I can't remember the name of any of these, to be honest, but this is pretty amazing. This is the one that you get to walk behind the actual water. A little misty over here. This is insane. That's so insane.
This is pretty incredible. I mean, it's like an ice dungeon death trap. But the spray back here isn't as bad as it is climbing up. You can see that walkway just getting pummeled.
I've always wondered what the deal was with all these people talking about how awesome their cameras were because they were weather sealed. I always thought it was something that people just like bragging about, but nobody actually used the feature. Who would go out in the rain and take pictures? Who would get their cameras wet all the time? It doesn't make any sense. This trip has completely changed my mind. All of our camera gear all the time it's so wet. It's like we just dipped it in a bucket of water and pulled it out and then tried to film with it.
Isn't it kind of a neat thing? Like, when I first got into photography, it really babied my gear. And then when I started traveling to places like this, I just slowly started not caring as much and testing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if the gear is going to survive, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to get great shots. And every time the gear survived. I mean, it's pretty amazing. The cameras that I shoot with, the Nikon cameras, the Fujifilm X-T1, they're weather sealed. That really makes a difference in sub-zero, frozen, rainy, hail, snow weather. It's so wet that it's dripping water. We're behind another waterfall right now. It's freezing. We're soaking wet. It's crazy. We're trying to do this interview, but the B camera with the 14 to 24 on it has so much water on it that I don't think we're even going to be able to make any detail out. It's actually, we've been wiping it down with a microfiber cloth, and it feels like we're just smearing the water around. I don't even think we can get this thing dry for the interview. It's really, really entertaining. Using something as simple as a shower cap can prevent the accumulation of water on your lens. And you really want to explore and take advantage of this dynamic weather, because when you have these dynamic weather environments, it's really when you can come away with something extraordinary.
So the nice thing about some of these waterfalls is they're very touristy, and they have a little cafe built right on.
So after completing the final lesson here in Iceland, we decided to hit the road. At the next stop, we learned that Siggy has some very interesting views about photographers.
You seem to have opinions about those in our field.
Yeah. I do have, but
Yes.
I'm not talking about you.
Not
you
us.
Especially.
Not us.
No.
Other photographers.
But, other photographers, they're like a weird bunch of nerds, and they're so strange. They only talk about photography, nothing else. Actually, one of the things that's always amazed me, that is how long time it takes for a professional photographer to just take one picture.
You just press
I just
a button,
run
right?
out of the car and take a snapshot.
Yeah.
And they can stand there for hours.
Yeah, a while like that.
Before they even figure out how to take the picture.
They're messing with buttons the whole time.
Yeah, they're messing with buttons, and I suspect they've never learned properly how to operate the camera. And they're so focused on these darn ice cubes floating on the black sand beach, you can't imagine. It can be. I can get a little bit tired of that.
What do you do for a living, Siggy?
What I do for a living? I take photographers to the most exciting places in Iceland you can find.
So you hang out with the most hated people in the world?
Yes, I do. Actually, I do. And I love that.
After finding out our tour guide hates us, Siggy completely redeems himself by taking us to one of the most relaxing places in all of Iceland. Let's go.
Can I have one red wine, 2 beers, beer? Yeah. Whatever, local beer.
This was probably the most successful trip to Iceland I've ever been on. This just, the synergy of the group worked really well. We had ice caves, aurora, snowy conditions.
Patrick's boots.
Looking back now, it's really amazing to think about how much we got to see traveling around Iceland for just 2 weeks.
Over the years, I've been able to travel to a lot of places. I feel pretty fortunate, but I must say, Iceland is definitely the coolest place I've ever been to, period. And if you get the chance, I highly recommend seeing all that this country has to offer.
But don't worry, our adventure isn't done yet. Iceland marks just the halfway point through this tutorial, so join us next week as we board a plane and head down to the southern hemisphere as we continue this photographic journey in New Zealand.
To learn more about this entire photography tutorial, head over to fstoppers.com/Elia Liccardi.